Okay, we're starting with the pool return. So we have the pool return going this way, this blue pipe. It's coming along here. As we mentioned in the previous video, this is going to go to the heater and then back to the pool. This video is going to discuss all the chemical control equipment that we're looking at right here on this wall. So the first thing that we see is what we're doing is we're taking a sample from this pipe going over here and into the flow cell. And as the previous video indicated, these valves are open as well as this. Turning it perpendicular, we'll close it. And what we have here, this is filtered water going in through here. Every once in a while you do still get dirt and debris in here. This can be cleaned out by closing this, loosening that, and there's a little screen in there, you can clear that out. You can see now that we shut that, we lost flow going into this flow cell. This flow cell is tied to this controller. The alarm light is going on because we lost flow. So I'm going to restore flow. And now you see the alarm will disappear. So a sample of water is going into here. It's being drug across these two probes. As you can see, they're labeled up here. So the blue probe is reading the pH. The red probe is reading your sanitizer, okay? It's reading there, and then the sample water is just going right back. And this one does it a little different, where the sample actually goes into the salt system because it has to cool components, and then it comes out here and sends it right back into the system. So it's doing a full loop. All it's doing is taking a sample from the pool and sending it back into the pool. These probes are reading the pH and the chlorine, and it sends a signal into the controller. This controller, you press a button to light it up. There's your pH. That number right there, that 7.5, is the actual reading that blue probe is taking and sending it to here. The chlorine is tested with parts per million, although with this controller it's going to read ORP, which is oxidation reduction potential. ppm, parts per million, is the quantity of chlorine, whereas ORP is the strength of the chlorine. It's oxidation power. So that's read in the form of 765 millivolts. There's a chart that I'm going to leave with you. We're going to keep it up somewhere over here so you can have it. And this allows you to convert from parts per million of chlorine. You would read that along here. If it's 3, for example, you drag your finger across, and if it's a 7.5 pH, that tells you that you have an ORP of 760. So that's how you convert it. This is a tool that will allow you to do that. Over here, where it says off, that tells you what the relay is doing, okay? And that's what these two pigtails are. So blue is for your pH, red is for your chlorine. So when it needs to call for either product, it sends power to either one of these pigtails, which will activate a pump. Right now, both are off. When we jump over here, this is our set point. So 7.5 S is for set point. You can see that we are at our set point, so nothing's gonna feed until that number, until the pH goes up. And then it's gonna activate this relay inside here, send power through the pigtail, then going up to this device. This system is set up in such a way that for the pH control, we can either feed acid, which the light switch is down where it says acid, which is going to power this one here, your acid. If we were to put the switch up and this controller calls for pH control, it's now going to send power to this device, which is going down to your CO2 feeder down there. I can activate it while you're recording, and you can see it's going to kick on. And you want to keep this little ball right between 10 and 20, which is exactly where it's at. If it ever goes above or below, you can adjust it with this little dial. It's very sensitive.
Matt, is the CO2 feeding system for both pool and spa? I see 2 controllers there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, we can have those labeled. As actually looks like Kevin's doing that now. So you have one CO2 feeder for the pool and one CO2 feeder for the spa.
It looked like this one was for
That is for the pool.
pool, spa to the left. Pool to the right, spa to the left. Thank you, Matt.
Something else.
Do we need a, okay, I was going to ask if you needed a break, but
Nope, I'm okay. This also has a temperature sensor right in here, which is sending the signal up to here, so you can see your temperatures displayed there. Temp 1 is 88 degrees. Okay? So anytime this calls for, we talked about the pH control, anytime this needs chlorine, which is when the O or P reading of 766 drops below our program set point of 750, it's going to call for chlorine, activating the relay, sending power through this pigtail up into your chlorine pump. This is your Stenner chlorine pump. You have this chlorine pump as well as your spa chlorine pump are both pulling liquid chlorine from this 150-gallon double wall container. It pulls liquid chlorine out of that, goes through the system, and it goes through these 1/4-inch tubes, which gets injected up to here. Okay, everything's labeled, so if you recall, the red probe is for your chlorine. I tape this up here, so this is where your chlorine gets injected. One over here. And one over here, which I will have taped red as well. Okay. When you're doing the pH, if you're using CO2, that's what your CO2 injector is. And if you're using acid, this is your acid injector. Remember, blue probe is for acid. I taped it blue as well. Acid is being pulled out of here, these red jugs. Pulls it out of there, sends it up into here. Or the other system sends it into there. I think we'll take a break.